A family is calling for justice after a 19-year-old was killed in Stockton just over 2 months ago. ABC 10's Alicia Manchano reports with more on what we know and their message for the community. We're also learning more details about a man that was shot in Citrus Heights that later died at the hospital. Officers received 911 calls near the 7700 block of Antelope Road. A big update in the tense fight for control of Congress. Days after the midterm elections, many races are still too close to call. Here's ABC's Trevor Ault with the details. And in Sacramento County, thousands of votes are still being counted. Votes that can make the difference between local races and even which party controls Congress. Some people have questioned why it takes so much longer in California to certify votes. Election day is over, but there are still various political signs across neighborhoods that are now just junk. But they don't have to end up in the trash. ABC 10's Laura Painter talked with a group collecting these signs for upcycling, turning someone's old campaign signs into someone else's treasure. California law states political signs must be removed 10 days after an election. Each weekend, ABC 10's Walt Gray catches up with a Cal Matters journalist about the biggest political stories of the week. Here's Walt with more. Collapsed crypto trading firm FTX confirms an estimated $477 million has disappeared from the exchange. The news coming just hours after the company filed for bankruptcy. The company is switching off the ability to trade or withdraw funds and taking steps to secure customers' assets. Alec Baldwin is suing people involved in handling and supplying the loaded gun that he was using when it fired and killed photographer Helena Hutchins, saying he wants to clear his name. The shooting was ruled an accident. Prosecutors want a federal judge to sentence disgraced Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes to 15 years in prison and make her pay $800 million in restitution. Holmes will be sentenced on Friday after being convicted of felony investor fraud and conspiracy charges. Ukrainian police officers, along with TV and radio services, returned to the southern city of Kherson, freed after 8 months of occupation by Russian troops. The Russian retreat represents a significant setback for the Kremlin, some 6 weeks after Russian President Vladimir Putin annexed the region. People in the know telling the Wall Street Journal that Amazon is debating the future of the Alexa voice assistant. In recent years, the program has lost more than $5 billion annually. Coming up on ABC 10 Weekend Morning News, we are talking sports. The UC Davis football team takes care of business in Idaho, and we'll have those highlights coming up after the break. Let's talk some sports. The UC Davis football team continues their winning streak, and the Sac State basketball team got a big win yesterday. Kevin John is standing by to break it all down. Okay, here are some top stories we're following for you this morning. A family is calling for justice after a 19-year-old was killed in Stockton just over 2 months ago. At least one person was injured in a serious crash in Lodi last night. When officials arrived, they found 2 cars involved in the crash. Numbers released by UC Davis show a drastic rise in crashes on campus this year, many involving bicyclists. ABC 10's Jay Kim shows us how one UC Davis graduate is working to raise awareness and educate students along with the community. UC Davis told ABC 10 they have 2 campus-wide groups looking into the uptick in crashes. They want to remind everyone that bikes and scooters are all subject to the same road rules as cars, such as stopping at stop signs and using lights at night. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention says 14 states and Washington, D.C. plus New York City are reporting very high levels of influenza-like activity. Your time is 6:35. Let's verify. U.S. health officials say we are experiencing a flu epidemic this fall. Brandon Lewis from our National Verified team helps put that into perspective. It's official. Democrats will maintain control of the Senate after a pair of closely contested Western races are called in their favor. And in Sacramento County, thousands of votes are still being counted, votes that can make the difference between local races and even which party controls Congress. We are sharing a story about gratitude. Have you ever thought about that special teacher from your childhood? Mine was Miss Kindig in 4th grade, and how much of a difference they made in your life. One award-winning local author says his 2nd grade teacher was so impactful, he spent years trying to track her down, just to say thank you. ABC 10's Becca Hawbegger has the story. Jamil and Miss Lung have met one another's families and they have shared meals together. Jamil still lives in West Sacramento with a family of his own now. His 2nd book came out earlier this year, a collection of short stories about family, immigration, war, and faith. It's the weekend, friends, and who would have guessed that the highly beloved sriracha sauce is made right in our backyard? This week, John Bartel is hitting the back roads to see how Northern California peppers become the special sauce. And before we go this morning, here's a recap of some of the top stories we've been following for you this morning.